G'day guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, I'm going to do my round 2 tips and predictions. So I didn't post last week's round 1 predictions as I just didn't get to it. I was just busy at school and stuff like that, but I'll try and be more consistent with the tipping videos out every week. I should be able to get them out every week, but yeah, I thought I'd just tell you that. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the video. Righto, just quickly, we'll go through my round 1 tipping results. As we can see here, I got a 7 out of 9. Pretty solid for the second week of tipping. I didn't review the opening round ones, but those are the ones I got. But yeah, round 1, obviously Carlton, obviously Richmond pulling up the big upset against Carlton, absolutely brilliantly. Richmond played Sam Lalo on debut, kicking a couple goals there. It was all around just a really good team. I think the Blues just underestimated them a bit there. Then the Hawks, obviously straightforward, beat the Bombers on the Friday night. Good game to watch all around. The Bombers really pushed them towards the end, but Hawthorn was still able to get a pretty easy win over them. And then one here, I'm kind of like really punching myself for this one here. Tipping Freo to beat Geelong. Obviously, Geelong's absolutely dismantled them by 78 points. Yeah, good to see Murphy Reid, the new draft pick for Fremantle, kicked 4 goals in like 10 minutes. Absolutely brilliant to watch. Thought Fremantle were going to come back and finally get my tip right, but that did not work. The Cats absolutely belted them, but a good performance all round from the Cats. Then we had, I'm pretty happy about this one. I was kind of leaning towards Sydney as I didn't want to go 0-2, but Brisbane getting up in the grand final rematch by 4 points. Great game to watch. Played absolutely brilliantly. Those Brisbane Lions. Levi Ashcroft looks absolutely amazing, and he played great in that game. Fortunately, a couple injuries out of that, but we'll talk about it later. Bulldogs over North. I didn't really watch much of this game, but it looked like the Bulldogs. It was close. When looking at the score updates, it was close up until like three-quarter time, and then the Bulldogs just ran away with it. And then Collingwood absolutely ass-kicking Port Adelaide, winning by 91 points. Yeah, good to see Tim Membry kick some goals in that. Dan McStay looks like he's in flying form, and the Pies could be a real threat this year, but we'll see how they go against other teams. I think they play the Bulldogs on the Friday night this week, but see how they go against them. And the Crows, straightforward as well. Over St Kilda, did not see St Kilda getting over the line against the Crows. They played absolutely outstanding. The Giants, the great steal, Lachie Whitfield, absolutely brilliant. The goal late to seal the victory for the Giants. Got the job done over Melbourne. Happy I tipped that. And then Gold Coast handed an arse whooping over to West Coast as well. And they looked really good with their new recruits, the Suns, and they could be doing some really good stuff with their footy this year. But without further ado, let's get into the tips. Kick off round 2, we've got Carlton and Hawthorn facing off on the Thursday night at the MCG. This one is going to be set to be a really good cracker under the lights at the MCG. Obviously, Carlton last week coming off that really disappointing loss to a very bottom team like Richmond. Yeah, they just underestimated the Tigers, and they just didn't really play to their strength. They thought they were just going to get an easy win. They were looking like they were going to absolutely belt them from the first 2 quarters, but Richmond made a comeback and took the win home. On the other hand, on the Hawks, they won against Essendon in a pretty good Friday night clash, and they're now 2-0, which is good for the Hawks. We'll see how they do throughout the season, but they're looking really good at the moment, the Hawks. Now for this game, obviously anyone can win here. Carlton, they won't want to go 0-2 surely, so they'll definitely be playing a lot better than they did last Thursday night. But yeah, Carlton and Hawthorn, last time these two teams faced each other, Carlton got absolutely destroyed by Hawthorn, and they just did not look good in that game at all. But I feel like it's going to be a lot closer and different, but I like the Blues, and I like the Blues in this one. It's pretty good, but I still think their side is down with some injuries. But I don't think that'll really stop them as much. That doesn't really explain their poor performance against Richmond. But this one, I feel like the Hawks are going to keep going. They're on a good run. I feel like they're going to get it's going to be a close game. I'm going to tip the Hawks by 5 points. Now on the Friday night at the MCG, we've got the Western Bulldogs taking on Collingwood in the 100th anniversary of the Western Bulldogs. That'll be a good game to watch. People packing into the MCG, probably mostly Collingwood fans, but it'd probably be nice to see that the Bulldogs supporters get in around it for their club. But in this one, yeah, it's a tough matchup, obviously. The Bulldogs obviously coming off a good win against North Melbourne. Didn't watch much of that game, so I can't really comment on who the players did what. But yeah, they're kind of injury hit at the moment. Bontempelli is out, which hasn't really shown an effect on the Bulldogs themselves. But yeah, it'll be great once they get the Bont back in. But yeah, it came off a good win against North Melbourne to get their season underway. On the other hand, though, Collingwood coming off an absolutely belting. They absolutely belted Port Adelaide, which is great, and they're now not going to be 0-2, which is good for them. But yeah, they looked really good. Tim Membry, new recruit for Collingwood, he kicked 3 or 4 goals, 3 in one quarter actually. I think he hit 3, but he looked absolutely brilliant up in the forward line. Same with Dan McStay. So all round for Collingwood looked really sharp, and Brandon Maynard even came up forward, kicked 2. You don't see that too often. But yeah, in this one, I reckon it's going to be a closer game too. I feel like though, I don't know how used to, because I don't know really much. Like North Melbourne, they're a pretty mediocre team, and coming off that, especially with some injuries, concerns the Bulldogs. But I feel like they'd want to get the win for their 100th anniversary. But I feel like the Pies come through for another win, 2 wins in a row, and they'll spoil the 100th anniversary party for the Bulldogs. So I'm going to say Collingwood win this one by 12 points. I reckon it's going to be closer. There's going to be a lot of lead changes, but yeah, I'm just going to tip Collingwood here. To kick off the Saturday matches for round 2, we've got Essendon taking on the Adelaide Crows at the MCG, 12:20 PM time slot. Yeah, this game, pretty good matchup. Essendon coming off a loss against Hawthorn. They looked good in the end, but the Hawks just kept pushing them and fighting. Therefore, they lost the game, but they never gave up really, which is good to see from the Bombers. Looking really good. Isaac Kako, he only kicked 1 goal in that game against Hawthorn, but he's looking like a really top recruit at the moment for Essendon. Other hand, the Crows belted the Saints, which is a good boost. They looked really good around that handball and the stoppage. They were just really good coming forward, and they were just able to kick many goals. Accuracy was on point too. I think they kicked 20 goals, 16, which is ridiculous actually. That's a lot. But yeah, the Crows coming away though, I haven't seen, obviously they haven't played an away game this year. Essendon isn't the side that will probably give you the jitters coming away, but Essendon can really do damage to you if the team they're coming against doesn't damage them first. But yeah, the Crows, they're really strong. Honestly, they probably played better than the Bombers did, but I feel like I'm just going to go safe here. I'm going to tip the Bombers to win this one. I'm going to tip them by 15 points. I just don't know how the Crows will go away, and I feel like the Bombers will really want to get back and get a good start to the season. Obviously, they're 0-1. They won't want to go 0-2. The Crows would also want to get a nice win on the board away from home to boost their confidence, but I feel like the Bombers will just do it. But I would not be surprised if the Crows get away with this one. But yeah, I'll be tipping the Bombers here. Next up at the Adelaide Oval on the 3:15 PM time slot, we've got Port Adelaide taking on the Richmond Football Club. Now this is, well, if you just saw this at the start of the season, we probably know there's going to be a Port blowout, but I don't know. I feel like Port should still get the job done. Away from home, Richmond don't look very well. I haven't seen them play away from home, but I feel like Port will have just seen how well they've had against Carlton. They're going to really prepare for it. It's not going to be a flogging, I don't think, but I'll be tipping Port. But yeah, the power, obviously, coming off that absolutely thumping loss to Collingwood away from home. They haven't really played the MCG that well, Port Adelaide, but yeah, they just looked really sloppy around the ball. They just weren't able to play it on their terms, and they just played a very uninspiring brand of footy, and the Pies were just able to absolutely hand them an absolute belting. So I want to change that this week, surely, in front of their home fans. It'd be pretty diabolical if Richmond got up here, but I'll be tipping Port Adelaide by 33 points here. I feel like they should just get the job done over Richmond and get a nice win at home in front of their Port faithful. So yeah, but Richmond, who knows, they could put up a really good fight and actually win this game, but I'm just going to go safe and tip Port Adelaide here. Let's finish out the Saturday games. We've got St Kilda taking on Geelong at Marvel Stadium. Now this one is honestly, most people are thinking Geelong easy here after what happened to St Kilda and Adelaide. But I don't know, if you look at the recent record between Geelong and St Kilda at the the Marvel Stadium. Geelong just don't really play Marvel that well, honestly. And St Kilda, obviously, being their primary home ground, they've been able to capitalise. They've beaten the Cats there the last couple of times, but it's a very tough one. Obviously, St Kilda looked very... Well, they had some good parts of playing football. They just got overrun by a really good Adelaide side. But, so that's... Yeah. And Geelong, on the other hand, absolutely belted Freo, and they're looking like they could probably do that to St Kilda too, but I don't know, they haven't played Marvel that well, to be honest. But yeah, they've got College Asney coming back soon. I don't know if it's next week. The Cats look really good at the moment, but I don't know. I'm just gonna go the upset here. I'm gonna tip St Kilda in a close one by 9 points. I feel like that's gonna want to put in a much better effort than they did in the previous week against the Crows in Adelaide. But it can go anyway here. It's probably Geelong will destroy them, but I don't really know. But I'm just going to tip the upset. St Kilda, they play pretty good at Marvel Stadium, and they've got a good record against them. So I'm going to keep it the trend. I'm going to say St Kilda win by 9 points. Start off the Sunday games from the Gabba in Brisbane. We've got the Brisbane Lions taking on West Coast Eagles. Now this one, it doesn't look very good for the Eagles at all. Obviously, Brisbane coming off that big confidence boosting win against the Swans to get their season underway. We were very rusty in the first half against the Swans. We just couldn't move the ball, and the Swans looked really good and we were inaccurate, but then Brisbane came from behind and won, which is good to see. Obviously, a couple of injuries going down. Kai Lohman doing something to his ankle here, a high ankle sprain or whatever it was. I could have thought he'd broken his leg, but we don't know how long he'll be out for, unfortunately. Didn't do much, obviously did it in the first 5 minutes of the game, obviously. Logan Morris, there was a concern of him getting a head knock there. Obviously came back on and played out the rest of the game. Brendan Starcevich shouldn't miss this clash against West Coast due to Justin McInerney's bump on him, and he is now concussed. It's annoying. But Brisbane for this game should get Charlie Cameron back, who only missed the game due to calf soreness, which is good, so I hope they can come back and kick it back against West Coast here. Obviously West Coast, on the other hand, they came off an absolute mauling against Gold Coast at the Optus Stadium, which is pretty bad considering it's their home ground, getting absolutely smashed on their home turf. I mean, Gold Coast, the last time these two versed up, West Coast actually won and got the job done, which was good to see there. But yeah, this time around Gold Coast just stumped them, which is not great for West Coast. But yeah. In this one, I cannot see West Coast getting within 50 points, honestly. It'll just be a percentage booster for Brisbane. I'll be gone this one, so I'll vlog the game. There won't be much to see, really. We'll just be toying around with them. But yeah, hopefully, for West Coast's sake, it's a closer game. But yeah, I just can't see West Coast getting anywhere close to pinching this game. So I'm going to go, obviously, Brisbane to win this game. I'm going to tip them by 80 points. I just feel like it's going to get an easy percentage boosting win on Sunday and come into the next game in preparation to face the Cats at the Gabba next week. Next up, we've got North Melbourne taking on Melbourne at Marvel Stadium, Sunday twilight spot under the lights of Marvel, which is indoors really, so not really under the lights. But anyways, yeah, this one, North Melbourne coming off. Well, they played really well against the Bulldogs. They just, obviously a new emerging team with their new recruits like Jack Darling and Caleb Daniel and players like that. They looked, I didn't see much of the game, but they looked pretty sharp around the ball, and they're coming into an emerging team. And Melbourne, on the other hand, they played really well. They deserved to win against the Giants, but they just pinched at Lachie Whitfield late. And they just weren't able to, they were just unable to, pinch the win. That's really sad for Melbourne. But they played some good. Christian Petrarca back in the side for Melbourne, which is really good to see. And he played really well. Same with Clayton Oliver. He's got his issues fixed. So Melbourne actually looked like a pretty decent team into coming this year. Obviously, I tipped them to finish 15th this year. I could be very wrong here. I could finish top 8. But anyway, yeah, who knows? We'll have to see how Melbourne play out throughout the rest of the year. But yeah, in this one, I'm going to be tipping Melbourne. I'm going to tip them by 25 points. I just feel like Melbourne, being the experienced team they are, coming back in off a poor last season, I want to get this done. I want to come in and try and get a somewhat percentage boosting win against North Melbourne here. But North Melbourne definitely put up a fight. look, I can kind of see them winning it as well, and in a tight one, but I feel like Melbourne should just get the job done here, really. So yeah, I'm just going to tip Melbourne. To round out round 2, live from Optus Stadium, we got Fremantle taking on Sydney. This one could be a pretty interesting clash. Obviously, both teams coming off a loss and are at risk of, well, Fremantle's at risk of going 0-2, and for worse for Sydney, they're at risk of going 0-3. Unfortunately for them, it's not going to get much easier. If they really want to pull this win, they're going to have to play some of their best football. Obviously, Fremantle at a pretty good Optus Stadium with all their fans around, and trust me, I've watched some of the games on TV. The Brisbane Lions play there, look very uncomfortable out there. It's always close when Brisbane and Fremantle face out there. But yeah, in Sydney, recent times, I think Sydney got the job done easily. Obviously, it was a passing of Cam McCarthy, which is why they probably didn't play their best. But anyways, with that or not, Sydney still won that. But yeah, I don't know who to tip here. It's one of the hardest games to tip of this round, I reckon. But I feel like, obviously, new coach coming away from home. He hasn't coached away from home, so it could be pretty different here. Could be a scary experience for Sydney. But I'm going to tip Fremantle to get up here. They want to get a nice win here. I'm going to tip them by 20 points. I just feel like Sydney will just not play their best footy. Obviously, some injuries. I know Errol Goulden and there's Taylor Adams and stuff are out for Sydney. They've probably struggled a little bit. Maybe not without them last week, but I don't know. But yeah, Fremantle, I think they're getting maybe Shai Bolton back and some of their good recruits back, like Michael Walters and stuff like that. Yeah, they just didn't look really good they just didn't look very good against the Cats, and I feel like if they get those players back and they can just get rolling again in front of a roaring home Optus Stadium crowd, I feel like they can get the job done pretty easily. But yeah, I'm just gonna go here. I can see any team pinching it, but I'm just gonna tip Fremantle. Anyway, guys, that was the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, vlog coming out this week of Lions and West Coast. I probably won't be the most exciting vlog, but I'm still going to get one out for you guys for content on the channel. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, and please like and subscribe, and you'll see you in the next one. So yeah.